record, and I think the record is being recorded now, that hating that T-Pain cover of War Pigs
Mm-hmm.
is anti-black racism.
Anti-black racism.
And I think we need to battle Usher. Like, if we're ever going to do a debate on this show, that should be the debate right there. Who's ruining music more? Was it T-Pain and auto-tune, or was it Usher and ushering in an entire genre of Michael Jackson clones?
Ooh.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. The Weekend.
Oh,
Yes.
he's like the worst Michael Jackson clone. I worked at Coachella when The Weeknd was on a main stage. I was like, you are the most boring main stage act I've ever mildly heard.
Wow. That bad. Damn.
That guy's dull.
I could that makes sense to me.
This is really dull. And honestly, and after Beyonce,
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
people are still trying to figure out how to follow Beyonce and her sounds of blackness.
Sounds a black.
Good morning to most, good afternoon to others, and good evening to the viewing audience across the pond. I am Jason Miles, your host for another episode of This is Revolution Podcast. If you're new to the channel, please like, subscribe. If you're enjoying what you see, make sure to hit the notifications bell, as we're constantly adding new shows and cross streams with other channels. Speaking of new shows, it was a very busy week for us over here at TIR with all of our new shows that we have added in the last 2 months. We had a struggle session of a white guy Wednesday, a 3.5 hour stream discussing the war in Iraq and its aftermath with Spencer Leonard, Jean Bajlan, and Deep State Cuba, and Derek Varn. A very, very passionate discussion, to say the least. So if you guys haven't checked that out, definitely please check that out. And also, due to some scheduling conflicts, we aired our weekly episode of Ben Burgess's Philosophy for the People as an AM stream on Thursday, where he discussed ChatGPT and Noam Chomsky. And then our very own Pascal Robert, the man of the Mau Mau Hour, launched his new show with friend of show Jeff Kennedy, Frat Guy Fridays, where they discuss Black Power and how that intersected with Black Greek life. Sadly, Pascal and Jeff didn't have a step contest like was promised when Pascal pitched the show. Not one Spike Lee inspired song and dance routine rooted in stereotypes. But hey, maybe he wanted to get all the kinks out before he hit us with all the bells and whistles. As for our regularly scheduled TIR programming, it was a spicy week indeed, starting off with the always uncompromising Norm Finkelstein. I think we kept him to only 3-ish tangents.
Mm.
We decided to follow that up with a conversation on why everybody loves the term fascism with Twitter's favorite, Daniel Bessner. Good times indeed. Those shows are up. If you haven't checked them out, please do. Also, if you're new to the channel, much of the programming we do here is evergreen. So go back and check out some of those older shows. Recently, I posted a clip that's been making the rounds again of Pascal's first solo appearance on the show, where we have the discussion, who gets to speak for Black people, where he talks about, kind of digs into Charlemagne the God, because he kind of is a bit of an interlocutor to, I guess, quote unquote, Black urban life, stereotypical Black urban life. But speaking of hard to please people, let me bring in show producer, the faceless voice of reason that you constantly hear me chattering with before we come on the show, the M. Tucson.
Hello, hello. Exciting to be here today, as always.
Why? See, this is why I don't like these. So Pascal Robert is not going to be able to join us today, as the step show routine practice has got him a little drained. And
it's the cane work, just working with the cane that really gets him.
What's funny is that we were having that conversation, that off-air, show conversation about our production meeting, impromptu Jason production meeting. One day I will message people beforehand. And he was talking about his step show prowess. So I think we have to do some Rocky-esque montage training scenes for him to get him ready in step show shape. So he can on air do that shit with the cane. And
that's right.
Wait, is that his fraternity that does that shit?
Oh, I don't know. It is by fraternity, isn't it?
Yeah, I know each one does their own little special, Negro-y thing.
Yes. Are they spelling letters? Are they spelling Greek letters when they do that?
Oh, is that what it is?
I don't know.
I thought it was like some dynamite shit. Like
that's what I thought, right? Dynamite.
Oh, they said I'm not on the right mic. Thanks, show producer, for not telling me that my audio was off. Nope.
My audio is off too. Well, my input. It's weird.
Yeah, well, this happens because everybody logs in and ruins my settings.
My settings were ruined too. It called me Pascal when I logged in. Ruined, I tell you.
And then I logged in under you.
Look at that.
Frustrating. We got to tell Restream to fix this problem. Fix this. You guys are getting enough money from us. Do you know we still get a discount when they lost that episode with Anna Kasparian?
That's fantastic.
Steve says that's the Q's. I wouldn't know a Q from a Y. I don't. If you're not in Gamma Phi Gamma and Spike Lee and Larry Fishburne aren't there, I'm from Motown. What to see your black ass back to Mother Africa.
Such an extra scene, like
that's so like extra. The best part of that whole movie to me. Between that and when they're at the Kentucky Fried Chicken and Samuel Jackson and the most stereotypical black people ever created in a movie walk up, I was like, what black dudes were dressing like black dudes in the 70s just walking into a random Kentucky Fried Chicken in 1988 with a Jerry curl cap on? Spike Lee was like, I need him to look real urban. Is this how urban African Americans look? I wouldn't know.
Nice. Nice.
Bitch, I'm Spike Lee.
My life's dope and I do dope shit.
My life's dope and I do dope shit. You think I got this far because of you people? In doing the research for the last video essay that I did, same as it ever was, and reading about how Spike Lee got his deal. You know, when they were trying to premiere this movie for white audiences, and it was like white audiences that were like, "No, she's got to have it as a legitimate movie. We can give this guy some money." So funny, so antithetical to Melvin Van Peebles.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a little bit of that through line where they both try to use a little bit of that rhetoric, that Black Power rhetoric.
True.
In their marketing, and I think some of it's implied.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah.
I find that like hilarious. Someone says Mo Better Blues is good. The movies that Spike Lee does about like middle class life, I think, are rather entertaining. But I thought Mo Better Blues was a good movie.
I liked it.
Do the Right Thing, I still don't understand. Bertrand Cooper tried to get me to understand it, and I was like, you know, the way you talk about it, it sounds like it makes sense, but I've never been around a black person that walked into a restaurant and was like, why aren't there black people on the wall?
Why aren't there black people on the wall of this Chinese restaurant?
Yeah, what the fuck, Martin Yan? It's like, who in their right mind does that?
Take these dragons down. I want to see dragons in here ever again.
Don't you understand? This is Harlem.
Don't ever disrespect me with dragons on the wall.
Don't you ever disrespect me with dragons on the wall and an altar to your fucking
no altars.
Passed on relatives.
No altars anymore.
This is Marcus Garvey Boulevard. It's going to be red, black, and green Chinese food.
That's right.
Like, seriously, who does that? Like, I've been around some blackety black Negroes in 45 years of walking around this rock we call Earth, and never have we walked into any sort of ethnic restaurant and demanded that we see images of ourselves. That's so weird.
Yeah, honestly. Just give me the pizza.
Yeah, it's like I came here for pizza, not fucking titular racial representation.
Give me the gabagool.
I was watching the third installment of a really great documentary series on horror movies in the 80s called In Search of Darkness. And they talk about representation in horror and how it starts to change in the 80s, especially beyond just race, but also with gender. And in the early 80s, they talk about, you know, before the AIDS scare kicks in, there's actually gay representation in horror movies. And then they say it gets really stereotypical by the mid 80s, but it was an interesting part of that documentary. I mean, I think the whole representation argument is kind of BS, but it's interesting to see it in a movie like Do the Right Thing that's probably about 35 years old or so.
Mm-hmm.
And it still has the staying power, and people still look at it as like a powerful film. I was like, I just don't get why it's so powerful.
Powerful. Can you feel it? A funky sensation.
Yeah, it's also the black guy. Another thing that documentary did was give some horrible. I was thinking about you and Pascal. They talked about Serpent in the Rainbow because that came out in '89. And they talked about it like it was this great tour de force of Wes Craven.
Oh God!
Then they brought a black guy on to talk about it, and the black guy gave like the worst analysis of that movie ever. He's like, "This is Wes Craven flexing his intellectual muscle."
Is it?
Wow!
This isn't a zombie movie.
I was like, you can tell the demographic of this fucking show. It's not people that watch this show. I gotta find it for you and send it to you. It's rather entertaining. I do want to say real briefly that I got some horrible news yesterday that I lost a family member. He was found in his home and he died suddenly. It's a cousin of mine, Gary Miles, leaves behind 4 beautiful children. So we probably won't be going very long today. And I hope you guys understand. That being said, for those of you that enjoy what you see and you would like to have access to our call-in segments of the show in the Champagne Room, there's only one way. Become a patron for as little as $3 a month or $30 for the year. You can have access to Champagne Rooms past and present, movie night, and be part of the live audience for Pascal Robert's Mau Mau Hour. Big shout out to all the patrons and subscribers. Thank you guys so much. You are the oil in the TIR machine that keeps it going, and you make this community a bomb-ass place. And from the bottom of my heart, I say thank you. Right, Toussaint?
Yes. Thank you very much.
So, our guest is actually going to be a little later today, which is fine because that gives us time to talk about other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I got a message today from a friend that watches the show in Austria. So he's always a little bit behind. Mm-hmm. And he wants to start a fund for Pascal's parasol.
Ooh, we need that. He can supply his own mint julep. Yeah. It's pretty I came back from a run and that was the message I came to in my home. When I got back in, I saw a message. I was like, oh, what message? Is like, oh, okay. Yeah, you like Norm Finkelstein's show and you think Pascal needs a parasol. Thanks. Pascal's parasol.
I mean, the things that, hey, how funny would that be if we had like pictures of them? So far, there's been 2 not animated, but 2 like cartoon pictures. Someone did an AI picture of Pascal with a parasol and a mint julep looking like Aaron Hall.
Okay.
What was Guy's big song?
I like.
Can you hum me a few bars?
I like the things you did to me. I like.
If we were in the Champagne Room, we can. You know what I am gonna do? And if you guys have a question, please leave a super chat because I am gonna totally demonetize this show because I'm definitely feeling a little destructive and I'm really enjoying this T-Pain cover of Black Sabbath's War Pigs. It's amazing.
It's excellent.
Yes. What him and those group of musicians did to that song is to turn those minor chords into major chords and like turn into a gospel song. Woo. So I think I'm going to play that on our way out today.
No, you're going to demonetize us.
Yeah.
You're going to demonetize us. No.
I mean, there's so many things that demonetize us that I never understand.
We can understand.
I can't understand why Ben's show gets hit. We can put a new intro on Ben's show to be as all the intros that Quinn has been doing and outros are so peaceful.
Peaceful.
Someone says Pascal needs to ride a tiny bicycle with his parasol. Whoa. Now that's anti-Black violence.
Is it a tiny bicycle or a bicycle with one big front wheel?
Just with Queen playing in the background. I ride my bicycle.
hard to tell which bicycle would be best for him.
Just an old school 10 speed, a Tour de France style 10 speed.
Just imagine him with his knees all out. Trying to ride.
Just ashy ass knees with someone like running beside it, trying to lubricate the knees. Sir, your knees.
Your knees are exposed, sir. You might become a shade darker.
Heavens to Megatroid. I declare, please. Stop the tanning.
A shade darker, even.
A shade darker, even. Yeah, we can't have Pascal getting any darker.
No way. No way.
Can you? The look on his face when I told him that he had light skin privilege.
He was shocked. They call that a robot exploder. Like in the cartoon when the robot's head flies off his body and the steam comes out the ears.
That's how you get him. You just tell him he's got light skin privilege. Well, you are the lightest of the siblings.
Oh. Can't deny that. No. Black power won't save you now.
Black power won't save you now. Take the parasol. No. And that's how movements get co-opted.
Yes.
Look, we've been dicking around long enough.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure if this issue has been on the national news radar, but there was a successful 3-day strike for higher wages and better working conditions, not by teachers, but from the support staff in the LA Unified School District.
Woo-hoo.
Bus drivers, aides, librarians, special education assistants, etc. There was support from the teachers not to break the strike, so schools shut down for 3 days before newly elected Mayor Karen Bass came in to help with the negotiations. A large reason that the employers were compelled to strike in the first place is the astronomical cost of housing in LA County. LA Unified School District is the second largest employer in the city next to the UC system. The raise would bring the average salary up to about $36,000 per year. To give you an idea of what market rents are in LA, the average rent for a studio is $1,700 and up to $9,000 for a 4-bedroom apartment.
Oh, wow.
The LA Unified School District has worked with nonprofits to build affordable housing and has built 185 units, and about 80% of them are Unified School District employees rather. There is a 100-person waiting list for some of these units. In a city that has such a high cost of living, struggles with housing the largest unhoused population in the U.S., and as we've discussed on this show before for numerous times, many of the longtime low-income housing units are reaching the end of their 30-year covenants to be affordable and will be switching to market rates soon. There are literally thousands of units in LA County that are in that current scenario. The reality of becoming homeless while working full-time, many of the striking workers have been in the district for over a decade, was enough to be the catalyst for mass action. Toussaint, should we see this as a win? Will this raise really mean that much in the long run when even a 30% raise that'll be reached by many of the workers won't even help a lot of the people because so many currently live in affordable or subsidized housing?
It's a really tough call. It's almost like you're standing in quicksand and someone hands you a parasol. Is this helping? I
It's
don't
just-
know.
I declare
I declare it's still a problem.
it's dangerous over there. Who told you to walk in the quicksand? I find this an interesting discussion because I was with a soon-to-be guest on the show. I got to speak in her class, Catherine Liu. And she actually spoke a little bit to this about how in a lot of these left circles, activist circles, there's a lot of help for the quote unquote most vulnerable. And while that population is large, it's still relatively small when we talk about the population of people that, you know, for example, work for the LA County School District. They can't afford housing.
Right.
And this isn't the first strike where it's not just wages, you know, it's affordable housing that these teachers are asking for because many of them can't afford to live
right
where they teach. Excuse me. And that's causing longer commutes, mega commutes. And in one of the articles I was reading this morning, one gentleman was a special education assistant, and he had moved to San Diego County because that was the outskirts of San Diego County because that was the only place he could afford. And it's like 90 minutes one way.
See,
so
creating super commuters is not
super commuters are a thing. I mean, again, if you guys want to read more about it, I know if you want to read an abridged version, Randy Shaw talks about it in his book Generation Priced Out. Because in the Bay Area, I can't speak for other people's communities. I really can't even speak for LA. That was kind of the first time I heard about a super commuter in LA. But I know people commute from Bakersfield, which is really far from LA County. I mean, you got to go over the Grapevine. You got to pass. You have to go over a mountain pass that closes because we actually get snow on it. To if you live there, I'm sure there's another way, but you know, we talk about trying to help this super vulnerable population, and that is complicated. Again, Randy Shaw came in and talked about that, like these initiatives that were passed, billion-dollar initiatives to build housing, and that was only designed to help a quarter of the homeless population. What happens to this almost forgotten population of working poor?
Right.
Many of them are working multiple jobs. And I don't really see too many people talking about it because it almost feels like there's a bit of a bootstrappingness to it. Well, hey, they have a roof temporarily, not my problem.
I don't know. I feel like people don't even know they exist. The idea that you could live in a shelter and still be working. The idea that you could sleep on the subway and still be working. That's a really tough one for people to swallow. Entirely antithetical to the American dream. And I think it's just kind of ignored, or people don't get that happens. It's tough out there.
So you don't see any solutions in sight?
That's not what I said that to say. It's difficult because it's one thing to ask for higher wages. It's another thing to ask for housing. Who are you asking? They seem to be asking the people that they're asking for wages for housing as well. Now that's a whole other business. How are they going to pull that off? I mean, really, it's not up to us to figure out how they're going to pull it off. It's up to them. But seems a lot less likely. You've got these two very different requests.
What I find kind of interesting about this moment that we're in is, as we're heating up for another big presidential election that I've been talking about on this show ad nauseum and on other shows, I don't think it's going to be filled with large personalities in the way that we've been seeing for the last few cycles. And there seems to be quick capitulations. Like, I haven't seen too many people talk about it too much, but they just killed the right to work law in Michigan. Historically, a union town.
Right.
Excuse me. The state in general historically has been union, as that was the number one sector next to California for,
car manufacturing,
automotive build out.
Right.
Was at one point in time, Detroit was at one point in time the richest city. I don't know about the world. I know definitely in the country. And now, of course, it's a shell of itself.
Right.
As there's a battle against a lot of these gig jobs. Proposition 22, I think, is still being held up in the courts right now, which was a huge rollback on worker rights. I saw Gavin Newsom is trying to turn, or not trying, but is going to turn San Quentin Prison into a rehabilitation facility, very reminiscent of the Nordic model.
So the state is now paying for yoga mats, is what you're saying.
The state is going to pay for yoga mats and meditation.
All right.
But what does a rehabilitation center look like without the large safety net that one gets when you do live in these Nordic countries? And not that you just get that you're accustomed to. You're accustomed to a certain sort of brutality when you live in the U.S. And in reading these multiple articles about these labor struggles and reading about the living conditions, we talked about it a few weeks ago on one of our news shows about the living conditions in the Skid Row Housing Trust, where like all these homes they had or properties they have for the unhoused are falling apart. And I constantly talk to friends of mine that still work in that field, and it's the same discussion we had when I was working there. You're getting the most difficult people. And she was telling me, a friend was telling me a story about a client she got that is blind, but he recently lost his sight. So he's still figuring out how to get around. Now, this person needs an aid worker, and there's a service that can provide an aid worker, but he hasn't gotten one yet. That like helps you. They come clean your room. They'll teach you how to walk, because you have to learn how to walk within your place. So the guy doesn't know how to find his bathroom, so he just pees all over the place.
Oh.
If you can find a styrofoam container, because they bring you food, you get food in these facilities, and they just, pee in that.
I'll go there.
And he's got other mental deficiencies as well.
I suspect
he can't live alone.
Working on finding the bathroom, and then the time runs out. The clock runs out.
She says the dude was just like, look, man, I can't find it. I get disoriented. I can't find it. She says he has good days and bad days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she had to go in and clean up his room. It's not like you have a staff to do that.
Yeah.
And you got to know how to clean up waste.
True.
And that man is going to get put in housing and probably won't keep it that long. And if he does keep it, it'll probably be destroyed. And it's like the things that you need to try to look at this problem properly. I don't think people want to look at it to scale and look at all the things you have to deal with. I always hear this, and we talk about it all the time, because I just want to stop hearing it, right? Just, there's more houses than people. It's like, yeah, where are they located?
Right. Montana.
And does anyone know how eminent domain works? When you don't see a federal rollout, why do you think your municipality which is filled with these people that that aren't paying, certain taxes, has the money to pay for all this. That level of support staff. And even when they do have money set aside for the support staff, take LA County into consideration again, they can't even hire people because no one wants to work in that environment. So I find it fascinating that everybody has the solution, but don't even really understand the problem per se.
Yeah.
And that's just one section, right? We're just talking about like the unhoused. We're not even talking about these, check to check people that, are just literally getting priced out and have to do, mega commutes and stuff like that. I saw someone talking about why they felt Americans don't strike like the French. There's definitely, I'm writing about it. It's a lot to get into. I mean, France, first of all, is like this big. You can have a centralized protest more so than you can have, in the US. But bigger than that, people don't trust in institutions here because we don't have a very good social safety net.
Right.
So when the age of Social Security went up a few years ago, nobody burnt down any buildings. There wasn't much of a fuss. Is it culture? I'm asking the question now. Is it culture? Or is it the fact that we truly don't trust in institutions, and we know sometimes due to the nature of the lives in which we live, take me, for example, I'm not paying into Social Security.
Right.
How much am I really going to get when it's time for me to retire?
Oh my God, now I'm so worried about you. I want you to have the good cat food.
Hey, eat the good cat food.
I want you to have fancy
in the refrigerated section. Not that cat food in a can.
That's right.
I was watching, I was doing a video essay for something, and a news story popped up that was a current news story on like CBS News. And it was about elderly people that were taking in younger millennial tenants in their homes. And most of these people were like widows and widowers. And they just couldn't afford their mortgages. A lot of them had like refied during the mortgage boom. Bottom fell out of their property, but they still have it. They were able to keep it. And so they were taking in roommates. And there was like this loving story of these older boomers that are, bonding with these young millennials and how wonderful it is. And I was watching that. It was just so sad.
Those feel-good stories are often very sad.
Depressing as all hell.
Yeah. I mean, not that we have to be so individualistic and all that everyone needs their own house and old people should be able to be alone. But
die alone.
Die alone. We'll find your body in a couple of years. But they're forced to do these things. And it's easy to develop a relationship with some of these older people because they have so many needs. And as a millennial, you have so many needs too. It's in both of your best interests to come together. Yeah.
Yeah, no, those are like super disturbing tales. I see Steve says Jason better get to the OnlyFans before it's too late. Steve, it's far too late.
No.
It's far too late.
You could be in the dad bod small rod section.
Wow.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's not a dad bod. It's a father figure.
That's how I come out with just a thimble on the head.
A thimble and a parasol. A thimble and a parasol. And a dream. Bad Lefty said, "No, my brother."
No. I'm gonna get so many complaints about this show.
We are.
Where's the guest? I don't know. These guests just keep flaking on us. We're not as big as the other shows.
Yeah.
They got the wrong show with Revolution in the title. They're like, "Oh, you're those guys."
Oh, that Revolution.
Oh, my bad. I thought you were the other
You
guy.
were Prince in the Revolution. Oops.
The fact that there's like no federal relief for poor people and it's not coming anytime soon. So, back to the whole France thing. When it was said that the Biden administration is going to continue the SNAP benefits, the extra SNAP benefits, I didn't even see that many people talk about it.
Right.
I just don't think people really care that much.
It's kicking people while they're already down.
Mm-hmm.
But these are people that are already down. Do they have much time to get out and protest and take their shirts off and yell at cops like they do in France?
I do find it interesting that it is in large organized labor that we're seeing the biggest pushbacks, right?
Yeah.
The UC teacher strike, which was for adjuncts mostly. Mm-hmm. This LA union strike, which is for like bus drivers and librarians and aides, these important things in a school district, in a school that you need. Much like we talk about for housing, there's all these things that people need. You don't get, even in permanent supportive housing, sometimes you don't get all the things that you really need.
Listen, nobody gets all the things they need. Things are rough all over.
We're talking about like bare minimum stuff.
This country's not good at that. They apparently, these things that we call entitlements used to be called obligations. Like noblesse oblige. They used to be obligations. Mm-hmm. But the marketing changed around that. And it's like, no, these are things you don't deserve. These are entitlements. You're lucky to have them if you do get them.
Your school doesn't need an art department.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You don't need athletics.
You don't need food safety rules.
You don't need school food and like prison food.
Dude,
those are some of the most frightening warnings. There's literally warnings on the boxes that say not for human consumption.
Yeah.
Why isn't it a Gordon's Fisherman box?
For real.
Thanks, Tucker Carlson.
There's all kinds of innards.
Tucson, be entertaining for a second. I'm gonna go look for our guest.
Okay, no problem. I guess no problem. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the M. Tucson Show. Today we have me. I don't really know what to say. Why? In the future, I'll write down a list of topics that I'll talk about when stuff like this happens to me. Right now, I don't have anything. Usually what I do is make fun of Pascal somehow or ask him some type of question. He's not here. My comic foil is not here. The parasol was good stuff. I did like that. What is my favorite form of dance? It's not really dance, but I do enjoy the Marcel Marceau School of Mime. Thank you for asking. Good questions. What kind of scotch do I recommend? I like a scotch that's old enough to drink. What are my views on UFO disclosures? I think it's weird that those UFO sightings and stuff seem to happen in the US a lot. What's that about? Whiskey or vodka? Vodka. Have I heard of a person named Kidology? This sounds vaguely familiar, but I sleep with the radio on, so everything sounds vaguely familiar. Let's see. What else you got for me, chat? You got questions, I got answers. Who's the dark Brianna Joy Gray? Oh my gosh, I love that.
Brianna Joy Gray.
I love that. That's like the Dark Phoenix, the Dark Jean Grey.
The dark Brianna Joy Gray.
I love it.
I would encourage someone to make that a cartoon, but I think that might actually be a hate crime if you do. But it would be funny.
No, I don't actually listen to the radio anymore, but I used to. Now I listen to podcasts and stuff at night sometimes.
Do you listen to podcasts at night?
I try to go with silence now if I'm really being strict with myself, but I'm still up till dawn.
You want to hear some asshole talking in your ear?
Sometimes.
When I first got here, I found these videos on YouTube of Spanish while you sleep, and it was like adios, adios. La puerta es en la cocina. El piso es naranja. I was hoping that by doing that, I'd wake up and speak Spanish, and it never happened.
You know, those things freak me out. I feel like I need to listen to the whole thing while I'm awake to make sure there's no weird messages in there, like 3 hours in. Like, what am I really being programmed to do? To go to El Baño?
Yeah, that's
Rapido?
So when you come to my house, I've labeled everything like color purple.
Nice.
Iron, IRON, iron. Remember that?
Yes.
I figured I just needed a young Whoopi Goldberg to teach me Spanish.
There you go.
Next time I put a little Sugar Avery pea in his lemonade. See how you like that.
Oh, God.
You remember that scene, don't you?
Oh, my gosh.
Why'd you tell Harpo to beat me?
Color purple Spanish. It's like, whose podcast is talking about that? These are the real issues, my friend.
This is what I want to know. I want to know, how am I going to learn Spanish unless I get to do it with the Whoopi Goldberg method? So when you walk in the bathroom, it says baño. You know, there's oficina for the office where I put stuff. Interrupta de luz, the light switch. No.
Someone came up with a new concept.
What's that?
MT pessimism. MT pessimism. This is Timothy Connerson. MT pessimism is the concept that MT must show herself for things to change. That's interesting. What are the things that we need to change? We getting rid of the dragons on the wall at the Chinese food place? Is that what needs to change around here?
You know what's funny? You know what's funny? I saw a video of a white dude that yelled at some black guy in, I think, Florida, somewhere where white people feel like hella comfortable yelling at random Negroes. Like if you went to some guy's house, like, you fucking guy, you know how people get when you live somewhere with a homeowners association and some asshole's like, look, you people need to move your trash cans.
That's right. You call that a lawn?
That kind of shit, right? Just like dumb shit. Like some black guy had a barbecue at his house and 4 friends came and the white guy's like, look, you can't blow up my property value when you have your colored guy get-togethers.
Colored guy.
And so, you know, someone recorded it because everyone's the state now, right? And I don't know. It just would have been an annoying thing. I think that happens in a neighborhood. And I saw that and I was like, man, you people are like really soft. I remember I got a letter when I lived in the Oakland Hills. I got a letter on my car that I was too loud. And I had all my friends come over and we had the loudest band practice ever. We were like shaking walls. What are you going to do? Call the police? They ain't coming. Not in Oakland. But anyway, that video went viral, right? And like hundreds of people came out to protest this guy's house.
Wow.
I think he called the guy the N-word or some shit like that. I mean, he was an asshole. Like he definitely was an asshole.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, he could have socked him.
Right?
Just would have socked him. Or you could have just closed it. Like that would have been funny. You could have just like walked away and closed the door and let him yell at the door.
That also would have worked.
That would have been the funniest shit ever. Just sitting behind the door like boop, boop, boop. I can't hear you. Yell louder, I can't hear you. I mean, if you're not going to have fun with it. But that seems to be the thing that would like galvanize people. It's always, silly shit. A suburban kerfuffle.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't one of those situations where the cops were like beating up kids at a pool party.
Mm-hmm.
That was like some viral footage. That was like rough. No, it was just some white guy being a douche.
I watch these YouTube shorts of this guy. He owns a landscaping business. And I guess he just peruses neighborhoods he doesn't live in. And he finds places that are really kind of run down.
I think our guest, hold on.
Okay, sure. Go ahead.
Oh, Jesus. Oh my God. This is not fun right now. I just want you to know that.
Okay. So yeah, he finds these places that are run down and he cleans them up. He edges up their lawns and mows their lawns and all of this sort of thing. And he still gets neighbors complaining. Listen, you're just making a lot of noise while you're cleaning up this lot that I've been complaining about for years. People just seem to really want to complain. I don't know. Are we not being heard enough? Do we want to complain more? I don't know. You tell me, chat. Maron, what do you got for me? Homeowners get the gulag. Homeowners are particularly touchy. It's all very personal with their property values. Later, Moby Bongo. Thanks for being here. People are insane. And they do just want an excuse to be angry. I don't know. Do they need hugs?
I missed all that, so I apologize.
Huh?
It was a typical time.
Really?
Yeah, she's coming.
Time switcheroo or time zone?
Time zone switcheroo. They thought EST was CST.
Oh. I didn't even know CST existed.
You and the rest of arrogant New York. Don't worry, California doesn't know it exists either. Okay. I love when Californians go to Texas. They're like, what time is it here? Like 8? It's only 2 hours ahead. 2? What? But New York is 3. Yes, this is Austin. It's in the central time zone. There's a what zone? Other cities that aren't New York or Boston or Florida. So there's other places. Yes, there's an entire section in the States. Yeah, never heard of it, man. I'm here for a work thing.
Here for South by Southwest.
Yeah, I came here to Austin. They said it's really cool here. It's like Portland with better weather. All the black people know Radiohead. This isn't it. This isn't it. You know?
I need to go to Austin then. Sign me up.
David Griscom is putting on his cowboy hat and he's like, "Hold my beer" to Annie, and he's coming down here to beat me up now that I said that.
Hell yeah, David Griscom.
Straw hanging out of his mouth. Are you the fella that's telling all these goddamn blipsters to come to Austin?
It's coming to get you.
If one more blipster comes here not knowing how to make barbecue.
No, he gets so upset about his barbecue.
One more vegan blipster comes here. Yeah, Austin is a safe space for black vegans. Austin and Brooklyn.
Austin and Brooklyn.
Yes.
Yeah, there's cute new places. as the Arctic Monkey songs go.
As the Arctic Monkey. That's one of my favorite bands, the Arctic Monkeys.
Yeah. They got a song about gentrification. Cute new places keep on popping up since the Exodus.
Kushlik says blipster bussy. All the back page blipster bussy is in Oakland, Austin, Brooklyn, and various parts of London.
Ooh. The last one was a little, I didn't see that coming.
You didn't see that one coming, did you?
Oh.
You're in the Camden area. You're like, oh, wow.
Oh.
Didn't think I'd see this here. What do you know?
You guys got quite a scene here.
You said there's more in Bristol. What?
Sign me up. Let me get my parasol.
We got to put timestamps on this show because so many people are going to be pissed off. Where's the girl?
the one from the picture, the thumbnail.
I want to see the girl. Where's the girl from the picture? She's coming. I'm telling you. She just called.
Is she coming?
Yeah, she says she's coming. She's like, I was like, we can reschedule. She's like, no, I'm ready, but she's got to do her hair.
She's got to do her hair.
I said her name wrong the first time because we had a pre-show conversation. I said her name wrong. And she was telling me how sometimes she gets confused for being black because she's in Minneapolis, in Ilhan Omar's area, where all those Somalis are. And I was like, I can see that because you got a black ass name. She said, what? I was like, your name, Aminah, damn. She definitely found that chuckle worthy. But yeah, I was like, I could see that. Yeah.
Aminah.
Yeah, that's what she said. Aminah. I was like, because it looked like Aminah to me.
It sounds like a chant. Aminah.
When you say it the right way, it does.
Aminah, shake, shake. Aminah, shake. Little techno song.
Is that Pascal's chant when he jacks his body?
Jack it, shake, shake.
Aminah. Just look at this.
That's our boy.
Oh shit. Hold on. I'm gonna try. Okay.
Here we are again. I'm not sure what to say. I spent hours yesterday watching YouTube shorts. Don't entirely remember what I watched. Can't really tell you. Japan or Sheffield? It's all about Sheffield. That's where Def Leppard's from. What's my favorite New York pizza? I know it when I eat it. But you can't beat a plain cheese slice. No fixings on it or anything. No extra oregano. Just the pure taste of the pizza itself is what's best. Don't admit that. New Jersey pizza wins. I'll say there was some white flight out of New York City, and the actual Italians, a lot of them went to New Jersey. They make the best pizza. Often the best. They're few and far between in New York City. Pure grease? No, it's not pure grease. Get a napkin. Be an adult. Cheese test is real. Yeah, it is. It's good to have that nice cheese pull. It's important. Woke pizza. I don't think I want any slices of that. Ranch on pizza? I'm not a ranch person at all. So the idea of desecrating pizza with ranch is just horrific to me. That's right. Latinos are making pizza. Mexicans are making some of the best pizza. And Chinese people are making some of the best Tex-Mex. Welcome to New York. I love it here. The Chinese give the Italians a run for their money when it comes to pizza. Is that right?
What the hell did I walk into?
It's pizza talk with them two sons.
I hope everyone is not. Look, for those that are going to listen to this show later, just understand that we had a time zone issue with our guest. We've resolved it. Please don't send angry messages and leave shitty reviews on fucking the podcast sites.
This guy in his 1 hour intros.
Oh my God. You see this? Look, your hair is fine. There's at least 8 bald-headed black women hanging out on the other side of the room ready to cut that shit off and sell it.
All righty.
Brianna was mad when I told her that if we had kids, they'd have good hair.
She mad.
I was like, Brianna, do you understand how much Indian I have in my family? Girl.
Jesus.
Kids gonna have good hair and they're gonna need sunscreen.
Brianna's hair is fine. She can reproduce on her own and have good hair kids.
Natural hair. I was like, yeah.
yeah. Whatever you call it.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it. But I'm glad I know how to use a hot comb.
Somebody said this guy was talking about dragons on the wall for 70 minutes. This guy in his long intros. 1 hour introduction. Well, this is a podcast.
I tried to listen. My friend recommended some revolutionary bullshit. It's just some Moulignons talking about pizza and fucking wall dragons or some shit. I'll tell you what, they're no Spike Lee. No, my friend. No, my friend.
Who is? The man is an auteur.
You know, I'm gonna get messages. You know, if Pascal was there, this never would have happened.
This is true. This is true. We'd be talking about jacking it. Jack.
The guest is going, what the fuck did I just
What did I log on to?
What did I just log on? Someone says, welcome to TIR Saturday. The guests won't show up in the pods for 4 hours.
That's us. That's us.
Okay. Just here, our guest can hear us, but she can't see us. So just so you know, while you were gone, everyone's playing Guess Your Ethnicity.
No.
I made that up.
We
but
all lost.
They're thinking it. Just know they're thinking it. We're not going to tell them. And that's going to be the joy of this show. Not just the content, the fact that you won't know. Because I know you want to know. Shake. I have an introduction that I had prepared that would have hit a lot better.
Yeah.
Now, moving on from one labor battle to another, how does one organize against a rising right, populism, in the labor movement? Do you simply deem it too reactionary like the new left of the 60s did? Well, our guest has written about attempting to organize labor during the rise of the right, and universal feel of contempt of constantly inept or failing government institutions. Here's a quote from her piece in the Rosa Luxemburg Foundation. This struggle to organize is happening as the right is gaining political influence and power across many provinces. Throughout this pandemic, right-wing groups have gained followings by tapping into people's rage, attacking the, quote, elites, and portraying themselves as fighters for the common people. This is why we have seen the rise of the new right-wing People's Party of Canada and the, quote, Freedom Convoy, both of which formed early in the pandemic in opposition to vaccine mandates. These groups called for and engaged in direct actions at international border crossings, occupied the streets of Ottawa, and harassed people during the quarantine and lockdown on a daily basis. They are the Canadian iteration of the January Sixers. Can you imagine that for just 1 second? What the Canadian January Sixers would sound like?
To be polite.
That's not our president-y.
Yeah.
What's it all about? It's not our president-y. Throwing Molsons at people.
Poutine.
Gravy fries in your way. They are the Canadian iteration of the January Sixers in the U.S. and have grown more sophisticated than their American counterparts. That is, see, Canadians are so mean. I was with a Canadian for 7 years. She would always look at me like, oh, you have an appendicitis? Take more aspirin.
Jesus.
Understandably, people's growing discontent with the cost of living, the war in the Ukraine, inflation, and the ongoing health crisis has pushed many to seek alternative answers. With their facile analysis broadcasting loudly across social media, the increasingly mainstream media, many people are being drawn into groups on the right, which can no longer be called fringe. By all accounts, the reactionary right is now rising across Canada. Please welcome Aminah Sheikh. Aminah is a union organizer and a research associate at the Canadian Center, or as I like to say, Centre. For policy alternatives. Please welcome Aminah Sheikh.
Yay.
How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for tolerating me.
Did you like your introduction?
I did. It was very nice. I love when people call me a research associate. because I'm not really one.
Oh, you're not a research associate?
I'm an organizer, but I wish I could be a research associate.
Is that easier?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And organizers have become popular right now in this moment, but it wasn't typically a popular job.
Do you feel like Instagram influencers sometimes when you say you're an organizer, people are like, I'm an organizer?
No, but it's become like that. And everything in America becomes like that. So now it's like I try to like ride that wave too. I have to. But it's definitely not a popular job, wasn't a popular job. In most unions, it's like the lowest paid job. So yeah, I wish I was a researcher, but because I'm brown, you know, they just put me in the organizing department.
Oh, is that what happens? There's a paper bag test?
I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there that quickly, but yeah. Oh, thanks. Someone said I had nice hair. Thank you. I was very concerned, right?
I told you your hair is very nice. And, you know, we can sell that hair. There's some Korean shops I know of in my native Oakland, California that would love to. We can make a mint is what I'm trying to say.
Well, thank you. I'm grateful. Thank God.
You hang around Minnesota long enough, you may fuck around on public transport and be like, how do I have a bob?
No, I'm
All
not.
the Ilhan's people holding that shit up.
Ever since I started hanging out in Minnesota, I've been like, if anything, winging my eyeliner more, putting more makeup on ever, because I'm not gonna turn into that basic.
Everyone tuning in the show right now is like, these motherfuckers talk about pizza and fake hair. Yes. No. This is the blackest show on right now. Deal with it. Okay. Let me ask. Tucson, you want to ask the first question?
Let me pull it up.
Oh my God.
It's just I'm watching the people on the screen.
It's just two.
Okay. I added more, but thank you for taking the time to join us today. Really appreciate the work you've been doing on the ground. Now, quickly tell us a bit about the rising right in Canada and how it's been able to gain a foothold in the working class. Do you feel it's simply fiery rhetoric?
So my piece, which I wrote a couple weeks ago, and I really do appreciate all of you having me here and showcasing the work that I do appreciate that. But like my insight as a ground organizer from just knocking on doors, and I've been assigned to northern and rural communities outside of Toronto. So I'm an organizer based in Canada. And the communities that I was visiting in the pandemic, particularly, I saw the rise of this sort of People's Party. I don't know if your viewers know what I mean by the People's Party.
No, can you tell us a little bit about the People's Party?
Yeah, the People's Party is this new party that was founded by Maxime Bernier, and it comes out of Quebec. And basically, this party sort of existed, but it really led to a stronger formation in the pandemic, right? And a lot happened in the pandemic. And I know a lot of us have been through so much. And a lot of that anger and the vaccine mandates that were controversial all led to people sort of moving towards what I call far right, reactionary right. And I call it like in the People's Party, I would define as an anti-statist libertarian party. So really about, you know, cryptocurrency, really about like
wait, time out. Hold on. Let's for a second. Hold on. There's a little bit to unpack here.
Oh, I thought you meant timeout because I insulted cryptocurrency.
No. Like you can insult it all you want. Like, hey, crypto, your mom sucks. Like, you insult it all you want.
Yeah. It was like, oh no, the viewers like crypto. They're mad. They believe in Bitcoin.
Crypto don't know its daddy. No. You can totally insult crypto. Crypto's a biatch. Are they peddling crypto? Like, is that part of it? Sounds almost like Amway for right wingers.
Yep.
Because that would be hilarious if that's all it was just a multi-level marketing scam. And And how do you feel about taking the language of definitely left movement, like saying, calling it People's Party? Like that literally sounds like a leftist struggle, right? Socialism is all about. So are they taking a lot of the language from the left?
Yeah,
Really?
exactly. Yeah. And right now, the Conservative Party, the new leadership is Pierre Poilievre, and totally uses the language that the left should be using. And
give us an example of it, because I want to know some of the language, because the crypto thing is really funny to me.
like, it's the anti-elite. We need to he's done a lot of videos. His name's Pierre Poilievre. He's the leader right now of the Conservative Party, and he was on the ground supporting the Freedom Convoy, and I want to call it the Freedom Convoy. I know people were really confused watching from the US about the Freedom Convoy because it was being called the Truckers Convoy. And there was actually great articles that came out from Canada that showed that 90% or something of truckers were vaccinated, and a large diaspora of truckers were actually living in Brampton, which is just outside of Toronto, and it was Punjabi diaspora. So the Punjabi community, was vaccinated, but they had created this misinformation that the people who were doing this January 6th thing were working class people. Now, I make the argument that there are some working class people in it. Okay. We can't, the liberal and centrists in Canada do this thing where those are those people and they're not politically correct. So this is where I argue the problem is starting to. We need to acknowledge that some of our neighbors, our family, and people sympathize with anti-vaccine mandate. And I would argue that because the vaccine mandate was punishing to the working class.
In what sense?
Like the cost of it. If it was paid by the government and the government could afford it, that's my argument. The government can afford it. There were old plants and workers that didn't have jobs that said, we can manufacture a mask for you nationally, publicly. Like there were alternative ideas. We've turned so capitalist barbarism that we can't even entertain public ownership. We can't even think, in the 1980s, airplanes were publicly owned. Maybe that's why they were cheaper. Maybe that's why you didn't have all this chaos, right? And we've sold everything, telecommunications, production, and all this stuff. And then we enter a global pandemic, and everything is the working people are shouldering it. Mask costs, vaccine costs. Well, the vaccine didn't cost any money, but you have to understand it was different in Canada because you all in the United States, I'm saying you all.
You people, yeah.
You people the ball, and then Canada was in a queue. And we were paying for tests. And if you remember, and I'm sure many of your viewers remember, like your boss is asking for a test one day, not asking for a test another day. So it was really burdensome for working people. So I just think that really the vaccine mandates is for the greater good. I believed in them, but I don't believe the working class and the working poor should pay for that.
Well, let me ask you this question. We talk about this on this show a lot, and I've spent a good amount of time in Canada. I've never been a citizen. We actually have a Canadian that's part of the show. Sadly, I asked him if he could come on this one, and he couldn't because he's flying back from somewhere. Is there a mistrust in institutions in Canada like there is in the United States? And when I say that, I mean, people are constantly, criticizing the school systems. They're constantly criticizing the lack of a true welfare state. Like, I know you have healthcare there, which, it definitely surpasses anything we have here in the United States, but it does come with some small obstacles. Wait times can be kind of long. Are people kind of playing up these quote unquote deficiencies in systems and pointing to that and saying, you had to wait 2 months to get that MRI? That's a failure. If you had private insurance and paid more, then you could get that MRI quicker. These vaccines are stopping you from going to work. Is this the kind of rhetoric that this right-wing People's Party is using to galvanize a disenfranchised, more atomized working class?
Yes, the right, the center, I would argue, is it's the same thing in the United States, billionaires and millionaires. So they purposely make public infrastructure fail, and they've been working on this project since, I don't know, nerdy people will know better than me, right? Like, I don't know, the 70s, like this project to move money from public infrastructure, from socialist, even the United States subsidized a lot of different education, healthcare, farmers, and it's beneficial. It leads to development. It leads to supporting the middle class, building a middle class, right? And the one thing I have learned through the pandemic is that the government purposefully wants the public institutions to look horrible. So in the United States, they're always going to make public schools look horrible. They're going to demonize public teachers. They're going to demonize nurses. And really, it's because you deliberately, because it's a capitalist system, right? You deliberately mismanage the money, and they'll deflect and they'll pay attention to somebody's salary who may be 100,000, when really these people are like CEOs and billionaires, right? And so as organizers, we have to move the attention towards the real enemy, which is like the banks that have been bailed out, the billionaires. In Canada, it's the monopoly and oligarchy of grocery stores,
Really?
Galen Weston, he's a horrible human being. He owns all the food. Like, the government can actually intervene and make bread prices and all of this like a more standard price so that people can afford it. They can actually do that. They do it in other countries. We just have to look.
Is there still a maple syrup monopoly?
I don't know about that. I don't eat maple syrup, but I'm sure there is.
Look it up, man. There's like a maple syrup cartel out there.
I believe that. The other thing I wanted to say is, you made me think about it. Okay, the public infrastructure in Canada is still based on settler colonial institution. And why I want to name that is because I work in labor. So sometimes I believe deeply in the social welfare state. But I saw in the pandemic how disproportionately Black and Native communities, Indigenous communities, still experience systemic, structural racism.
But there's 7 Black people in all of Canada.
That's not
5
true.
of them are in Toronto. There's no Black people in the interior because they were like, it's cold as shit. And
I know. It's kind of true. I feel like it's kind of true.
There's a few in Toronto. I've been to Toronto. I'm like, oh, no kidding. But then,
No kidding. They're in Nova Scotia too.
Yeah. Are you in Canada right now?
Not right now. Nope.
Okay. When you go back, can you count the Black people?
If you really want me to.
A little bit. And then
You're
send
right.
a picture every time you get one, so we make sure you're not counting the same guy 3 times because you change your shirt.
Okay, wait. We do have a huge Caribbean community.
They don't count.
The beautiful Caravana happens every year, and everybody comes to Toronto for it.
If they come in there talking like Shabba Ranks, it doesn't count.
I don't even know what that means, but I'm laughing.
Well, okay, so the voice you hear, the female voice you hear, is a Black Caribbean person.
Please stop this. You're making me nervous on your show.
No. They said Jason going ADOS. Tucson, yeah. You are a Black Caribbean. You guys don't count in the count.
Stop.
It depends.
See?
It depends. Honestly, it does depend.
It depends. It depends.
We should count.
If they come in there like this.
No one is doing that. Literally no one. It's not a single person.
Are you sure?
Not one.
It's just me at the club doing that?
Not since 1993. It's just, you were 15.
Just me.
Just you. You're the only one.
So if I went to Jamaica, they'd get mad at me?
Yes, they would. They time out their dances in 3 months. 3 months, the dance is old. You can't do it anymore.
Okay. So the imagined black population in Canada. I'm gonna have like all these black Canadians getting mad.
Yes, you are.
That's fine. I can deal with both of them.
Nice.
I'm not gonna say anything. I'm gonna look at the comments. What are people saying here?
Don't read the chat.
Yeah.
Don't.
Our chat
That is-
is like,
No.
it's quicksand.
It's
chat is
quicksand. You do not want the parasol in the quicksand. Oh, Drake. Yeah, see, Drake doesn't count.
Somebody said Drake is Dominican, though.
Is Drake Dominican?
He's not Dominican.
Poor Aminah. She's like, man, I came over here to talk.
This is not what I came here to talk about.
But she wants to talk about Drake. No? Okay.
I'm not a huge fan.
Of Drake?
Yeah,
He's like the Canadian treasure.
it's true.
If
Is
more
it how
Drake-
he treats women?
Oh no, I'm not like that.
Okay.
Is he supposed to treat women bad? I thought that was the whole thing about him. Like he's super sensitive.
No, he treats women badly. It's
Does
like
he?
the opposite of,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've heard that. I've
Really?
heard
and he's
that.
kind of into young girls. It's a little
I heard
creepy.
that. I'm not surprised.
Really?
Yeah. Mhm.
You're just breaking the whole thing because those Drake jokes, which I find rather hilarious.
They are hilarious.
The one that said Drake puts on it, he looks at himself when he puts on chapstick.
Ridiculous. Strictly about the bars. She does not like his rhymes, and that's why she does not like Drake.
She never watched Degrassi.
I did. I just think there's something about Toronto culture that I've stopped loving too. It's just like it's. Have you all been to Toronto recently?
I haven't
I
been since
haven't.
2019.
It's just become really like Instagram models, like
Really?
boring. Everyone looks the same, dresses the same. Yeah, it's that whole culture.
In Toronto?
Yeah, you should
I was there in the
visit.
fall, so it's a little chilly for modeling, but
Visit.
Chili for
I
modeling.
mean, you guys are built differently in the East. I will say that. As I sit here, it's like
Who's in
sunny.
the East? Me?
Yeah, Tucson is in New York.
Oh yeah.
Hi. Yeah.
It's a little I'm not built for the weather you people have.
Yeah.
And by you people, I do mean blacks.
Nice. Nice.
But I mean,
Jason,
tell us more about Pierre.
let's go back to the topic. I don't even watch
This-
enough that I
This
didn't even
shit
know
was
where-
derailed a long time ago.
It was. It was. To be
That's
fair,
fine.
it was.
Hey, it was derailed a long time ago, and that's okay. I'm not even trying to man the ship. I'm like a drunk captain right now, and I'm just. Tell us more about Pierre Poilievre.
Well, I'm not really an expert on him other than I know that what I think I tell the labor movement and what I'm trying to teach on my trainings is that the language that he's using resonates. It's fighting language. So it's about like he's doing all these videos about housing and he's doing all these videos saying that we need to make affordable housing and talking about like stopping the city governments are too large, and I think you talked about how do you think that they've made public institutions fail in order, well, I don't think you're saying that, but I'm saying that they've made public institutions fail. That's why everybody's moving towards anti-statism and libertarian politics. I think that's where it was going, and I don't agree. I think that what we have in countries like Canada has its issues because it has built-in structural racism and
Mhm.
settler colonialism that has put Black communities and Indigenous communities more at risk when they're accessing public infrastructure. And that's why communities feel the need to create their own spaces, and I don't blame them. However, I think when we look at data, we can see that like for profit. I think the United States is a perfect example. And being in Minnesota,
Can
like
you stop
every
picking on us for just 1 second?
pardon.
So can you stop picking on us for just 1 second?
Well, it's all the NGO complex, right? And it's like Minnesota, I think, just won free lunches and free breakfast for children. And I think it's great that it's a public, universal program.
Yeah. But when you talk about housing,
Yeah.
and again, I can't speak to the provincial housing issues throughout Canada because it's very different than the US context because you have these insane hinterlands that are like unlivable. So there is a lot of space there. There's not a lot of people in your country. Everybody kind of lives closer to the border. Like there's just some unique issues that Canada has. Now, when Pierre
Poilievre, yeah, that's fine. I don't even know if I say his name right.
When he talks about wanting to build housing, is there a bit of an affordability problem? Like I know I can only speak to the Western BC issue, and everyone knows BC has a horrible housing problem as far as it just being extremely unaffordable in certain parts of BC, even parts that were kind of historically, working class and Asian in the eastern side of Vancouver. So is he indeed speaking to a population, kind of back to my original question, that truly is feeling disenfranchised? And to my original question was, where is there any sort of left opposition to this extremely populist rhetoric?
I think he's speaking to everybody. That's what I would say. I think he's speaking to everybody. I think even the older generation has houses. Okay. So even the settler immigrant generation, the white generation, the conservative base already has a house, right? But I think they can even see that inflation, housing costs, because they see it directly and immediately in their own family. They see their grandkids who are like 30 plus. Everyone's moving back home. Everyone's living in intergenerational homes. I think even white people are moving back home, right? Like at least in Canada, immigrants, we live together, right? So it's just changed the way society is moving because the cost of living is so high. So I actually think he wins over lots of people. And the problem is Trudeau and the Liberal and then the left, which is the NDP, supposed to be the left.
And what does NDP stand for people that don't know?
The New Democrat Party. And it's with Jagmeet Singh. And I would argue that they always posture themselves towards incrementalism, and like being nice and playing nice. When if you watch Pierre Poilievre, he's like fighting. He's like Trudeau. Every video of his is not even just about Trudeau. It's about the elites, the billionaires, and I'm gonna make it better for all you folks. And the other thing I would say is really different is he, goes into different diverse communities.
So here's something I want to ask you, and I pose this question to you and Toussaint and the chat. I feel like when we talk about right wing, there's a vision in our minds of an Archie Bunker-esque character, and I know you might not know Archie Bunker for a plethora of reasons. He's these stereotypical characters of white working class men that are highly racist, and it feels like that kind of obfuscates that the working class is multi-ethnic, multi-gendered, and a lot of people may harbor some of the same resentments. And when you look at something like the Proud Boys, for example, here in the United States, and I'm not saying like it's a really serious organization, but one of the things that people target from its inception was that it was racist, but you have all these different kinds of people in it, right? Latin people, even a small handful of Black people. And again, this is a small fringe conversation in general.
Mhm.
And it seems like ethnic hate groups, while they still exist, of course, almost feel like a thing of the past. And when we talk about, and I hate using the term fascism, as we just had a kind of controversial show about the term, it feels a little fashy with this rise of right-wing hate groups. And it's hard for people to kind of figure out that it's right-wing rhetoric, because you have a stereotypical vision. The iconography is, white guy, Zig Hyland, and it just doesn't look like that anymore. So it seems to me, if you go back to and this is in the US context, the presidential election of 2016, you have Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump, two very polarizing individuals, both saying the same thing, that there's an elite class of individuals that are the reason for your suffering. They are the ones grounding you to powder. That's true. One person is just kind of playing kayfabe. The other person is, a little more true to the critique. It feels like that these populist figures, especially on the right, can speak to a certain catharsis that people want. We're all talking to defeated people at the end of the day, the left and the right? And when people have no power, then they'll definitely search for catharsis. And it's really easy to fling mud at powerful people because you can't form a base. But also, I think you can start to feel powerful in convoys, in January 6th, insurrections. And what always frightens me about this moment is that sometimes these people have a vision beyond their ego. What saved the United States literally was the egotistical Donald Trump, because his head is so far in the deepest regions of his behind. He didn't really have a plan beyond his own vanity project. So January 6th really goes nowhere, right? And is this Pierre Poilievre? Is he the same way? Where he doesn't really have a plan beyond, is it an ego project like a Trump, or is it more of a Steve Bannon type project? Like, no, there's a goal at the end of this, and it is seizing real state power. And we're actually getting people involved in this movement to truly seize power.
Wait, someone wrote,
read the chat.
Someone said she probably thought this was going to be a serious show. I did. I literally did. Okay, but wait, in all seriousness though, I want to respond to one person. One person said, how is the infrastructure settler colonialism? Very good question. Ask yourself, where did these white people come from? Were they actually from there? No, they were from Europe. They were from France. They were from, and what did they do? They took land, they grabbed land, and they stole land. Like, that is why you have movements called Land Back. But just in everyday violence, I just want to give one example, and that's it, before we move on from non-seriousness. In the pandemic in Quebec, a woman named Joyce Echaquan, she was Indigenous, she went into the hospital and she live streamed herself while hospital nurses and staff were hurling insults at her, because she's Native and Indigenous. And, she died. And she's like, and this is like normal, and I wouldn't know, I'm privileged. I came from middle class. Like, what would I know? But I really know that the healthcare system, it might be kind to me. The state might be kind to me. And also questions around policing. Like, it doesn't necessarily affect me as a Pakistani person, but it affects Black communities, right? So
Look, it doesn't affect both of those guys. They're fine.
No.
Both of those guys are fine.
what guys? What guys? What do you
Black
mean?
guys. There's one that plays hockey.
Stop.
There's another guy.
Stop.
He's fine.
You
One
know
of
I'm
them
right.
rap.
You know I'm right.
They're fine. Both
Your
dudes.
audience in the chat, someone say I'm right.
No, you can't look. I'm gonna have to say it like Aminah, damn. You can't. Someone said something really funny that I'm gonna post on the screen. Jason, based on your age and experience as an older boomer, how does this attitude to unions compare to your memories of the 60s? Well, being that I don't have a flux capacitor and I was born in 77, I think my fear is that, and I don't know if you feel me on this, Aminah, that leftists in the 60s, young leftists in the 60s, definitely looked at the working class as reactionary. And a lot of the movement got out of the working class, right? And definitely gets entrenched in academia. And is it the same way in Canada where you have what it sounds like to you a very polite left that doesn't seem entrenched in working class movements? And if you're not really entrenched in the working class, then you can easily have truck convoys and January 6th.
Yeah.
You know,
I agree with you. Yeah. Yeah, that is what's happened. It's not even academia. It's just like, it's like the organizing. So what I would critique with the unions is the organizing is for the middle class, right? So the more of the middle class sector of unions. And so, yeah, someone wrote pipe fitters and my friends and this, that. I'm not saying people weren't involved in the Freedom Convoy or whatever you call it. I actually argue in my piece that everyone sympathized with it, right?
Yeah.
They were like, oh, look, they're doing direct action. And the point is, yeah, they galvanize communities and then they go do direct action. Well, I argue that the unions are like negotiating with the boss, right? It's like, who do I want to side with right now in this moment? I want to side with the fighter, who's fighting for what it feels like, people who are irrelevant, not this politically correct, and I'm for political correctness, but it's obsession about details that average people are struggling over monetary items right now. Like they're just struggling around food, healthcare, housing, and
can you explain the healthcare from the Canadian standpoint? Because I don't, again, I haven't been in your country and dealt with a person that dealt with that healthcare system in quite some time.
Okay.
So is it starting to get defunded much like the UK?
Yes. Okay. And what the government is doing. So in Ontario, for example, we have a conservative government, Doug Ford, and you have conservative governments across the provinces, and liberal governments have done it too. And I don't want to say the NDP is anything better in some cases, right? But what you have is they're planning to privatize surgeries. And so healthcare unions are building a coalition and they're planning to fight back. And actually, we did see in a couple months ago, early childhood educators who get paid less than $40,000 come together and say, we're on a strike, and the government tried to legislate them back. Each worker $4,000 a day. And actually, I want to say that private sector, blue collar workers, male dominated, white male dominated, came and stood by the side of early childhood educators. And they said, $39,000 isn't enough. So what I'm trying to say is when the unions start fighting, like we see in France, right? Like we saw the farmers in India, who are probably going to fight again. When we do,
say it again, you broke up on me. You're fighting with who?
When like workers in France, you have nationwide strikes, or we saw in India earlier.
Yeah.
Farmers with the backing of the communist parties, backing of the unions.
Mhm.
When we do come together and then we fight, that sort of right-wing populism goes away because we know it's a lie, right? And we know that they actually support billionaires, and it starts exposing the truth, and people start siding with the real working class struggle.
But in the French context, and I don't really want to get too much into that, you know, isn't
Why?
We ain't in France.
That's
I'm
true.
not in France. I have like a passing understanding of what seems to
Yeah,
be
me
going
too.
on from what I'm reading.
Mhm.
And it seems like, you know, even with all the protests, it's not really going to matter much because Macron has a plan. So, you know, kind of back to my original question about this right-wing move.
Mhm.
And, you know, and you don't have to have the definitive answer, right? This is just going
Okay.
to be your opinion ultimately. But do you really feel like there is a right-wing plan and it's actually gaining steam, and it looks like it actually has a plan for government takeover and more privatization? Because I'm sure Canada really doesn't want to be not just America's neighbors to the north, but neighbors, you know, to the north with no socialized medicine and more expensive education, and you know, no market controls on housing, and have the whole country look like Vancouver. So, you know, Canada does have some decent social safety net programs. It's never enough, right? They also seem extremely reactive when it comes to native poverty, and almost performative, right? Like the land acknowledgement of policy is Canada to me in a nutshell, right? You know, we see your pain there, native people, and we raise you this good day, sir. And look, here's a bench. That stuff only goes so far. We saw it again in the American context with the Democratic Party. 8 years of Clinton gets you 8 years of Bush Jr. 8 years of Barack Obama gets you 8 years of, or 4 years of Donald Trump. So in the Canadian context, Trudeau, who kind of amazing to me how gets busted out in blackface again in a country that is so racially woke. And even when asked, like, is there more pictures? Yeah, bro. Maybe, dude.
There are more pictures.
There was this Michael Jackson phase I was in. Like, how does Trudeau, like, what are on the ground when you're working with people? What are their feelings of the current leadership?
Well, you've heard the slogan "Fuck Trudeau," so you know it's so popular, and I would say I think it started with Indigenous populations up north because they knew he's a liar, you know. And this is a government that will be like, oh, we're gonna put someone in for Islamophobia, and I'm Muslim for the audience, you know. We're gonna put in a person to like manage Islamophobia, and it's like, oh, really? That's why you give millions of dollars to Saudi Arabia to like kill Yemenis, you know? You're like feminist? Oh, really? That's why you like give millions of dollars to Saudi Arabia to kill Yemenis? You know what I mean? So it's just like, it's like he's a liar, and like he's been behind the RCMP, infiltrating indigenous-led environmental movements in Canada. And
the RCMP is your Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't even say stuff like this, but like infiltrating, you know, and he's passed legislation that is not only to monitor environmentalists, but it was meant to monitor Muslims, like, right? Like since 9/11, they've been inside monitoring all the communities, right? And he's wasted money. And
now, what you guys lack in Black people, you definitely make up in spades with Muslims.
That's true.
Cheers.
But you're right. He's probably done blackface a million times, and somehow this man has gotten out of. I don't know how he gets out of it, and that's why this moment we might see a shift to a right-wing conservative government.
He has cool socks.
Is that his thing? Is it son?
That's
Yeah.
his thing. Yep.
Mhm.
And he's from a political family.
Yeah, he has that,
Mhm.
and his father has a legacy amongst immigrants, right? His father was very much open to immigrant settlement. His father was a friend of Fidel Castro. You know, so it's just, I would say though, it's not a linear history in all countries, right? It's a weird history in places.
So, what do you think would be the first big dismantling? Do you think if a right-wing leader gets in, because you're talking about this libertarian push, so you're talking about people feeling, again, the government institutions aren't helping me, so we need a change, even though you see people getting ground to powder beneath you in the States, right south of you. It's fascinating how that can even seem appealing. What feels like when you talk to people, do they feel like they have no other option than just to tear it all down?
I don't think people think about tearing it all down. I think people are looking for a fighter, somebody who's like going to fight for them, and they're like waiting and waiting, and they are looking towards their union leader, they're looking towards their city officials, and they continuously sometimes disappoint them. So we're just in waiting, and then we're watching all this distraction, like the TikTok distraction, the anti-China rhetoric, and then we're like, wait, should we hate them? Like, should we hate that? Should we, like, we're so busy like hating, and it's like all this lies. Like, I don't even understand this whole TikTok situation, you know? And it's just another way. The war is the biggest distraction in Canada too. It's like,
Really?
yeah,
Really?
they're obsessed. I think it's going to go away. And you know what my fear is? My
What's that?
fear is it's right-wing governments that are going to be like, wow, this war is really unpopular. We better bring all our Nazi supporters back. We better bring those boys back because they're all dying. And we don't want to admit that because we already just lost millions of people to COVID. Let's not admit that we're losing the war. People, everybody, both sides are losing, right? Everyone's losing. Working people are losing ultimately. But I think they're going to start saying we need to de-escalate the war between Russia and Ukraine because of the costs of living are outrageous.
So you're seeing, again, a more nationalist rhetoric picking up a lot of steam. Again, there's if you go back, there's a gentleman, and I don't remember his name. I think it's David Hoffman. He has a bunch of archival footage. He was a videographer in the 60s to the 80s for a TV station for one of the big networks in the States. I can't remember which one. So he has compiled some amazing archival footage of a lot of documentaries that news channels used to do, that the big three networks used to do before news was profitable. And there's some interesting documentaries on the quote silent generation and their frustrations with the Vietnam War, how they kind of coalesced even with the anti-war younger, what we would call the boomer generation, under the with their feelings of this anti-war, because the kids were coming back addicted to drugs with massive injuries, if they were coming back at all, and there wasn't much for them as far as hope. We're also getting into deindustrialization at the same time in these urban city centers. So it is interesting that you're bringing up the war and how it's being used, because there is a history of using these things for more right wing rhetoric.
Yeah, I'm more cynical too. I think that it's a way to like kill average people too.
War or just
The war, yeah, it's like
mean speech.
Let's keep them busy over there. Go die over there in something that has nothing to do with you, you know. And it's like, because you got no identity, and that's a whole other topic one day. I think like everybody has no identity, and that's why they're latching onto this like Jordan Peterson and I don't even want to go here.
Don't say his name 3 times. He appears like Candyman.
Who? Andrew Tate? I was gonna say Andrew
Don't
Tate.
say that 3 times either.
Both of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, is that really what you want showing up behind you? Hello. Look at that hair.
I hope so.
Well, I have a question.
Mhm.
You keep saying that the people are looking for a fighter. Are they waiting for another Tommy Douglas?
Ooh.
Mm.
I did a whole video essay about that.
Did you?
Yeah.
This is a nerdy show.
Yeah. But we're not afraid
all are
to do
nerdy
stuff like this.
leftists. Well, that's a really good question. Are they looking for Tommy Douglas? I don't know so much about Tommy Douglas. What do you all know? But I know that he brought with the party and the formation of the party, and a lot happened. Do you want to fill me in a little bit? I forgot.
Well,
He was
I
the
guess the question, it's less about, who Tommy Douglas is as a person. It's more like, are people looking for a character that they think will lead them to whatever they're looking for, right? So housing sucks. These mandates suck. We need someone that's going to fix it.
Mhm.
And collective action isn't the way people think anymore. We don't think collectively, right?
I think people are looking for leadership, and they need somebody like these figures that are charismatic. And I write that in the piece too, that are charismatic fighters, and that's where, and that win the hearts of people, and then they will go behind it. And it could be a union leader. It could be like an average person. And I believe that it could be somebody they don't have to be white. I actually don't believe that. I believe that they just have to show that bringing people together, and we're going to fight for what's right. And I do believe people are waiting, and when it happens, they move behind it. Like I gave the example of early childhood educators. Like, it's a majority woman-led union, right, that went on strike, and you had even unions that sympathized with developers, like the trades, construction workers. They've become more conservative. They're like, hell yeah, you can't be paying the people who watch our kids and teach them $39,000 a year, and now you're going to fine them while they're on strike. I think that's when race, all these identity goes away, and people are like, oh, it's class war. Do you know?
So you feel that the right is fighting a class battle? I
think they lie. Right?
Oh, I agree. But
I don't read enough books, but I'm sure in history they just lie. So they
right now, do you think the rhetoric is that of a class war?
Yeah, I think Trump did it too. I always say to people, Trump talked about lowering pharmaceutical prices. Nobody was really saying that. He's like, I'm gonna get a deal and I'm gonna lower the price. And it's very convincing. And I'm like, I believed it too. I was like, this man might even get a deal. The problem is too, they make deals with the conservatives.
Right.
In Canada. Right? But they won't work with somebody like Lula, I'm sure, or I don't know. I'm not a big reader, guys.
It's okay.
Someone
says they want Rob Ford to return.
Well, why? Well, why? Because then everyone can laugh at how funny we are up there too. By
Rob
the way,
Ford is kind of awesome.
By the way, Pierre Poilievre also accused Trudeau of selling cocaine. This is where
all right.
This is where politics have gone so
it's just drama. Look, the way we consume media is everything is TMZ. Everything is drama news.
It's true.
And that's funny because it would have been a better story, but dude, I totally got high with Trudeau. Trudeau always brought in an 8-ball and we just, partied. But to say Trudeau was selling coke is kind of funny. Can you imagine Justin Trudeau with a beeper in 1992?
No.
Showing up hella late.
You probably have one.
Did you say Justin was coming? He's on his way, bro.
Real quick, all you need to know about Tommy Douglas is that he was voted the greatest Canadian. So how do we get you to be the second greatest Canadian? How do we get you in front of these people and setting it off like in France?
I think that it has to get really bad. I hate to say this. It has to get really bad. And then for people to see that the only way to resolve the situation is for public infrastructure. So not nonprofits stepping in. Why I'm saying that is because we have a province called Quebec, and even there, like the cost of living is cheaper. There's more state control of prices. There's a rent cap, all these reasons, because the French, and I learned this from the Canadian Center for Policy Alternatives. Actually, I learned this from a researcher, is the French view the state must deliver the services. So I'm not going to go for childcare to a private nonprofit, which is for profit, but no, the public infrastructure must deliver a universal childcare program. And if you don't deliver it, we're going to burn everything down. So it's just the view of the state where capitalism, or I don't know how Anglo-Canada or what's happened in this side of like what's happened where we view the state is moving back, and we believe in like the free market more. And we believe in nonprofits more too. Someone taught me, like, we believe in a charity should step in and deliver lunches. A charity, we should open it up. And it's a bad idea. And I think in this moment, critical moment, it's going to be Canadians figuring out, do you understand what privatization means? Do you understand? Do you really believe the lie that it's better in America? Because it's not better in America, but they actually think there that it might be a little bit better.
Do you think you can tell them that if they privatize everything, there's going to be more Black people, then they'll just vote against it?
What is that even?
That's a strategy. You know?
Black people are going to multiply.
And not those Caribbean people with their delicious food.
Their food is
regular
delicious.
Ones.
The regular
food is delicious. That's the one thing about Minnesota. It's like I don't get good jerk chicken.
Good luck with that in Minnesota.
There isn't, or rotis.
Wow.
There's no dal puri. There's no like. In Toronto, you have a lot of Guyanese, Trinidadian people. So you just have a lot of food that's. I tell people here, it's like a fusion of many cultures, and it's just really.
They just stare at you like you're speaking.
They don't know what the hell I'm talking
like you're
about.
Like goony goo goo.
Oh, okay, very nice.
She doesn't like the tater tot hot dish.
It's true. It's true.
The tater.
Everything's tater tots in Minnesota. I don't understand.
I will look. Thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with us today. I will leave you with this very fun anecdote of where you chose to live. I worked in North Dakota in a housing facility for oil field workers cooking. And the crew I was with was people I worked with in Louisiana. And so one day I had awakened to go start my shift. We worked 6 weeks on or whatever. And I asked, what they cooked the night before. And I remember my good friend who was from Shreveport, Louisiana. I won't say her name. She's an amazing artist in New Orleans currently. She said, I don't know, it was some of this Yankee bullshit. It looked like throw up with cheese on it, called tater tot hot dish. And so anytime the people from the north, and this guy was from Minneapolis, would make food, the Southerners would just call it Yankee bullshit. Some of my best memories about the Great North is Yankee bullshit. So hearing you complain about a lack of ethnic food in Minneapolis, you better get used to pancakes and burgers.
Yeah.
And beef brats.
And snow.
Well, I'm at a place today where where I am doing this video from, they have really good food. It's called Public Functionary, and it's a cafe, and they have really good food.
All right.
And
Is
I
it
have
kind of like a campus?
No, it's like an art gallery cafe, and they do a lot of different art shows and music shows. You have to visit, both of you. And I'm about to eat a sandwich that I was supposed to eat.
Exciting stuff.
It's mayonnaise fruit salad.
Because I thought I had so much. No.
You better get used to raisins in the potato salad.
Carrots.
I got the sandwich because I thought I had time, but I guess I was running late. Sorry about that. I know you all work real hard.
No.
Do we? Kinda.
Well, thank you, Aminah. Enjoy all of your tater tot hot dish and your mayonnaise sandwich. Thank you very much for hanging out with us. Toussaint, we've been here for 2 hours.
We have. I can't believe.
Are you gonna eat tater tots?
What is the draw with tater tots?
They're like little French fries.
But I thought they were more like hash brownie.
I don't know. That's a thing. You know what? All casseroles. Everything is a casserole.
Everything's a casserole.
Everything's a casserole in the Midwest. Matt Leck can speak to this as well, as he is a Midwesterner. He understands the power of casseroles.
We need to talk to him.
Salt and a potato.
Thank you, Aminah. Chat is saying thank you.
I do Yankee bullshit. It's kind of like the funniest shit I'd ever heard in my life.
It's gonna be your new chat burner name.
Yankee bullshit.
Yankee bullshit.
But yeah, dude, the food. I'm interesting. I feel like most major metropolitan areas always have like a food place. There's so many people that try to fuse so many different kinds of food together.
True.
Like the only people that really get upset about certain kinds of food are like New Yorkers.
The only people who get us why? What?
I don't know. You tell me. You're from New York.
I think people like to desecrate our food. Your veggie explosion, California pizza. When I went to China, the only place I could get pizza was Pizza Hut in limited places, but every super mall had one of those California pizza places. What's it called?
Oh, really? California Pizza Kitchen?
Yes. With the super obvious name. And I was just like, what is this? Why is there a palm tree on a damn pizza? You don't need all of that.
You want to get Danny Aiello's character and do the right thing. Will you turn that radio down?
The thing is, I know they had good pizza at that pizza place and do the right thing. I know they did.
Because that's why dude would sit there and deal with the passive racism.
That's why he was putting up with the not having the black people on the wall. Because, hey, this pizza's actually good. Good looking out, my G. Good looking out.
I've never really tasted a difference. I've been in New York too many times to count, and I've never tasted the pizza and be like, oh wow, this is really what life's all about. Now serious? Chicago, that's an experience.
I mean, is that even a city?
It's where all the black Canadians are.
Having our deep dish, eh?
When she said black populations, I was like, what? Where?
Hey, Richie and his family?
I was searching that shit out like Scooby and the Gang. Our tour van looked like the Mystery Machine looking for Negroes.
There goes one. Big Scoop.
Let's bring him to safety in Chicago.
Safety in Chicago.
We're importing all the black people in Canada to be safe in Chicago.
Don't they go to Detroit? Isn't it like
that's Detroit's problem?
isn't that Detroit's problem?
If it wasn't for all these Canadian Negroes, maybe we could have a city here.
That is like taking a walk, just going across the border. Like it's nothing. That's the trade-off. You take our Negroes, you come here, and you get to see bottoms off at the strip joints. That's what my friend from Detroit told me. That's what they would do.
Wait a minute.
Like, is it really worth it?
So you're telling me that if there was a Derek Bell race trader situation going on,
Mhm.
and Detroit is making a trade, or Canada's making the trade with Detroit?
I don't know. Who really wins?
Who's making the trade?
Detroit gets the Negroes?
Yeah,
Do
Canada's
they
like,
need more Negroes?
you guys got a lot of empty space here. Nobody's in
Right?
these factories.
Nope.
We got all these black guys that are they're shivering. It's a little warmer there. Not saying much.
It's a no-brainer. Take our black guys.
You guys have sports they like there. Is that the trade that was made?
Chappelle Show shit, somebody said.
Like, can you imagine? Like, that's how, like, how did all us black folks get to Detroit? Well, once we lived in the majestic mountains of a land called Canada.
Majestic mountains.
And a deal was made for us to cross the freezing river.
Somebody said Derek Bell. Damn, that's way before I started watching baseball.
Is
Not
it
that
Derek
Derek
Bell, the baseball player, or Derek Bell, the man that wrote the Race Traders, that gives us CRT?
Derek Bell Race Traders.
Because, yeah, like, that's what CRT is really about. It's really about, trading black Canadians. But what did Canada get in exchange for or what did Detroit get in exchange? Access to maple syrup or something?
They get to visit the nudie bars.
Oh, they got bottomless.
You get to see bottoms off nudie bars.
With bottoms off with alcohol?
With alcohol.
Oh.
Fair trade. It's like, are you serious?
Like, they're in the meeting room, like, bottoms off, eh? But they all free labor. But what if they include alcohol and the bottoms off? My Job, that is a perfect deal. Bring it to them, see if they sign.
Spinning my parasol right now.
And then the black people, they get to, like, free Detroit. It's supposed to be like free. Hurry up, free Detroit. There you go, free Detroit. And then they find the strip club and everyone's wearing bottoms.
Mm.
It's like an episode from Twilight Zone.
I know, right?
No! I can finally read all of my books.
There was time.
Damn. That. Not sure I want bottoms off.
You might not need bottoms off.
I mean, it was part of the trade. They were just like, that is an interesting concept, isn't it? Yeah, we need Eminem to come in here and do this history. Like, if I had money, we could do like a skit. It would be Eminem, like a masterpiece theater thing, and he'd like turn around and say, like, hello. As a resident historian of Detroit lore, that would be kind of awesome.
That would be
Ed Lefty says we have the funniest nerds on the interwebs. Yes.
you do.
Because some of the shit that I am sent is like I'm laughing out loud as I read some of the shit that I'm sent. Especially the Pascal with the parasol stuff that you guys were sending.
That was just so good.
Damn. Or the other day when I was like, look, man, I can't book all these people you want us to book. And then they started giving a list of names. One day when I really don't give a fuck, I'm going to start giving people some of the responses people said. All right, Toussaint.
Yeah, man.
Are you ready? Are you ready to deal with the rest of the day?
Kind of.
We've
got to get on with it. We've got to.
There's got to be a better way. Ben Burgess is going to be back tomorrow with his Philosophy for the People show.
That's going to be good.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what he's talking about.
I don't remember, but it looked good. That's not just me saying that. It did look good.
It's just saying that.
It's not.
I think you're lying.
Let me see if I can pull it up.
I think you're lying. Oh, you have a document? Are you on the chat for that?
No, that's funny, right? Sam Cedar, Tim Pool, and Thanos, Philosophy for the People.
That's what it was. Oh, yeah. There's like names in this world that when you mention, even in passing, it like triggers. It's like you called Cthulhu, and it triggers all these angry people to say shit that's like really, really mean.
Yes.
And, doesn't make sense. Yes. I'm at a point right now where I don't have to respond.
Yeah.
I finally hear you in the back of my mind.
Yay!
I'm still getting responses for that fucking comment about the black lady never wrote the Matrix. It's like 6 weeks, guys.
That's a very big commitment.
Yeah, like that's a lot of people that want to tell me to eat a dick. Bottoms off. Apparently they're all for the bottoms. You walked in the bottoms up, boy. Oh.
Hey, yo.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. And I'm finally now channeling my inner Toussaint and going, okay, yeah, you can win. I don't care.
It's fine. It's fine.
I wish I would have listened to you before I made those horrible mother jokes about that one person that was trying to threaten to kill me. Because that was kind of the funniest shit ever.
I don't know how you do it, man. I told you I got this one friend. He thinks it's hilarious when you do that. This guy threatened to come see him in his town. I was like, don't encourage him.
Bottoms off behavior, man. Live my life bottoms off.
Gosh.
Just know.
Someone in the chat said they were washing the carpet on the stairs. I don't know what that means. Wait a minute.
Some
bottoms off behavior right there.
Bottoms off behavior right there, dude. Fucking need to check your diet when you go bottoms off, man. You gotta eat right.
That's right. Yes, you do.
You see, I'm here drinking water.
Oh my gosh, you gotta do a lot of things right if you're gonna have bottoms off.
You gotta do I'm working to so I can get comfortable enough with my body so I can just bottoms off for the next live show.
Oh my God. Listen.
My good. Yeah.
You're going to wash the stairs. Watch
And that's why the next show is going to be in Vancouver.
It has to be, right?
Why is it next show in Ottawa? You'll find
Yeah. God. You'll see. Bring your cameras.
Someone said assless chaos. Oh no. There's gonna be a lot of ass.
Oh, it's chaps. That was
Well, remember when I did the
autocorrect.
fucking Shakira thing? When I stood on the
did
chair and
Shakira
did it?
thing. Oh my God, you did do that.
You know, if are they ready for bottom behavior? Right now, I'm saving the world by wearing these pants.
Vicky Clee in the chat says, took up most of the rest, but UK has carpet everywhere. I think she was talking about something else. When I read, she was washing the carpet on stairs.
Her personal carpet.
She's talking about carpet over here.
She's talking about the old
Oh my gosh. Carpet on the stairs.
Hey, and just so you know, Toussaint, there's all tile here.
Oh my gosh. She was talking about carpet.
Smooth tile.
Smooth handmade tile.
But there's an area rug above the sink.
I don't know what that means. Is that a goatee? What are we talking about, man?
I'm so
Sometimes a carpet is just a carpet. That is what our moderator Sune says.
And now everyone knows why I'm single.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
So
Thank
what do you do
Vicky
for a living? I'm a research assistant.
Right. We're research assistants.
It's me and my friends. We just,
Yeah. Just research stuff.
What do you talk about on your show? Oh, sports.
Carpet in the UK.
Talk about whatever you hate. There you go. Just please don't watch it. Please don't watch it. Whatever you do.
This is champagne room stuff.
I'd like to see you again. Please don't watch it.
I am going to put the link to Aminah's article and to our Patreon again, because this is champagne room stuff.
This is definitely champagne room stuff. What we do here on Saturday is we have the Saturday free show where we go as long as we want to go, which is very different than through the week where we try to do an hour show, and then we go to the champagne room where conversations are continued, more fun is had. We have a call-in segment, so if you guys have opinions about the first hour, you can call in and sound off. So that's what we do in the champagne room. Also, if you don't want to make the monthly or yearly commitment to Patreon, we have
merch. Hey, you got merch over here.
Hey,
I don't know if you know, we got merch.
Hey,
that's here we go. We got hoodies.
Bam,
boom, right there. It's the closest you get to being at home without being at home. Wearing a hoodie. Love it. Love it. Take your apartment with you.
Take your
We got snapback, snapping back like all the alligators, Pascal Rassels.
When he throws down the parasol, I say someone's in trouble. I say.
I declare you have crossed the line.
But he can't turn the big ass wheel on the bicycle.
Oh my gosh. We have Pascal's smiley face on a mouse pad and a mug. I bet his mom has one. I bet it's great. We have Anglo Pessimism t-shirt. Gotta love it. That's one of our best.
It is.
And the This Is Revolution mouse pad. You're not going wrong.
I have it. This is Revolution mouse pad.
Nice.
So, Toussaint, thank you. Thank you very much. I do want to say publicly, I appreciate you, Pascal Robert, and Mean Jean, and Kuba, and Derek Varn, and Quinn, and sometimes Stefan. And Ben Burgess, and Live Show Jordan, and everybody that helps makes this show what it is, because I didn't want to do it today. I really wasn't feeling it, but I'm glad that I did. I hope you guys had fun today. Someone says, Marcus, we never thank Marcus.
Never.
Ever. I talked to him.
You guys say it real fast.
I talked to Marcus the other day.
That's nice.
Yeah. I'm still trying to get him to move out here.
That would be dope.
So, I'm trying. Knock on wood. I think we're getting closer. I think we're getting closer to the reality of this being truly podcast manner.
Love it. You forgot Lucy.
The dog?
Lucy the dog. She gives you tons of affection.
She does. She does. She was here the other night. But thank you guys so much. And also a huge shout out to Conan Neutron, who came down and we all hung out and had a good old time. Steve says passport bros.
Unite. With our passports united, we become super passport bros.
Why can't I just build the Jason compound in Mexico? Why does it have to be a Joe Rogan compound? I will say this about Joe Rogan, and then I'll shut up and we can leave. So a friend of mine works at the Comedy Store, and he said apparently ever since Joe Rogan moved to Austin, everybody's happy because the comics are funny again, because Joe Rogan's people had infiltrated the Comedy Store, and they were just hella angry about woke stuff. So just angry ass dudes. And now Joe Rogan has just a not funny comedy club in Austin.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So good news. Good news.
Good news.
Good news. So yeah, the compound here is going to be a wonderful place where none of you are welcome. All right. Were you trying to put some up?
Yes, real quick. With our passports united, we can get less likely to get deported. And on that note,
on that note, again, thank you guys. Hug your loved ones and definitely let them know that you care. We are